Chioma, please don't go. Something doesn't feel right in my heart.
Mom, you're worrying too much. I'll be back soon, I promise.
Please be careful, my daughter.
Mom, I should have listened to you. Please save me. Chioma.
Hold on, my daughter. Wherever you are, keep believing. I'm praying for you.
Mom, I'm so scared.
I hear you, child. Stay strong. God, wherever my daughter Chioma is tonight, please protect her and bring her back home safely.
Mom, I wish I had listened to you.
Vanessa, Belinda, I thought you were my friends. Friendship was only the beginning, Chioma. You should have asked more questions before you followed us.
Please let me go. I don't want your money. I don't want your luxury. I just want to go home.
It's too late, Radagyo, you can.
Please, my mother is waiting for me.
Tonight, your old life is over.
She ignored her mother's warning. She trusted the wrong friends. She followed a glamorous invitation. And before dawn, she found herself trapped in a place she never thought she'd enter. This is the unforgettable story of Chioma and the prayer that changed everything.
Once upon a time, in a beautiful and luxurious mansion, lived a 15-year-old girl named Chioma with her loving mother, Mrs. Grace. Every morning, warm sunlight streamed through the large windows of their elegant home, filling every room with peace and comfort. They had everything they needed, and Mrs. Grace worked hard to give her daughter a happy life. But despite living in comfort, Chioma often found herself comparing her life to the glamorous lifestyles of some students at her prestigious school. She admired their expensive phones, designer clothes, luxury cars, and the attention they received, while her mother constantly reminded her that true wealth was found in good character, honesty, and contentment. Chioma secretly wished for the exciting lifestyle she saw in others.
Don't forget to finish your homework before evening.
Yes, Mom, I will.
Good. A strong mind comes from discipline.
Why do they look like they live in another world?
What did you say?
Nothing, Mom.
The following day during lunch break, Chioma sat quietly by herself in the school's beautiful courtyard. She was naturally shy and had very few close friends. As she watched other students chatting and laughing together, two popular girls named Vanessa and Belinda noticed her sitting alone. With warm smiles and friendly voices, they introduced themselves and invited Chioma to join them. Feeling accepted for the first time, Chioma happily welcomed their friendship. She believed she had finally found people who genuinely cared about her. Little did she know that not every smile came from a sincere heart. A few days later, Vanessa and Belinda invited Chioma to an elegant luxury cafe after school. The beautiful surroundings amazed her. Crystal lights sparkled from the ceiling, expensive decorations filled every corner, and luxury cars lined the entrance. Vanessa and Belinda spoke confidently about their glamorous lives, expensive shopping trips, and powerful connections. Everything seemed perfect. As Chioma admired their lifestyle, she became convinced that this was the kind of life she wanted. She never stopped to question how they had gained such wealth or whether everything was truly as perfect as it appeared. That evening, Chioma sat alone in her bedroom, smiling as she read messages from her new friends. One message caught her attention. It simply read, "Don't tell anyone about our special group." Before she could think much about it, Mrs. Grace entered the room. Sensing a change in her daughter's behavior, she gently advised Chioma to be careful about trusting people she had only recently met. Although her mother spoke with love and wisdom, Chioma believed Vanessa and Belinda were simply being kind. Deep inside, however, Mrs. Grace felt an unexplainable concern growing stronger with each passing day. The next day at school, Vanessa and Belinda approached Chioma with exciting news. They invited her to a private gathering that would take place over the weekend. They described it as an exclusive event attended by wealthy and influential people, promising it would be an unforgettable experience. Chioma felt honored that they had chosen to invite her. The thought of entering the glamorous world she had admired for so long filled her with excitement. Although a small voice inside urged her to be cautious, her desire to fit in was stronger than her doubts. That night, as Chioma lay in bed, sleep refused to come. She kept thinking about the invitation and imagined how wonderful the weekend might be. Yet, beneath her excitement, an uneasy feeling quietly settled in her heart. In another room, Mrs. Grace knelt in prayer. Though she didn't know exactly why, she felt compelled to ask God to watch over her daughter and protect her from every hidden danger. As a gentle breeze moved the curtains beside her, a deep feeling of concern filled her spirit. Neither mother nor daughter realized that the invitation Kioma had accepted was the beginning of a journey that would test her courage, her faith, and every lesson her mother had ever taught her. Saturday morning arrived with bright sunshine shining over the city. Inside the luxurious Okafor mansion, 15-year-old Kioma could hardly hide her excitement. She carefully dressed in a stylish sky blue blouse, cream-colored fitted trousers, and elegant white sneakers, hoping to make a good impression on her new friends. Mrs. Grace noticed the excitement on her daughter's face, but also sensed a strange uneasiness in her heart. Before Kioma left the house, she gently reminded her to be careful, trust God, and never follow anyone into places that didn't bring peace to her heart. Kioma smiled confidently, hugged her mother goodbye, and assured her there was nothing to worry about. She believed she was simply attending an exclusive gathering with friends. She had no idea that danger was patiently waiting for her. A sleek black luxury SUV pulled into the driveway and picked up Kioma. Vanessa and Belinda welcomed her with cheerful smiles as they drove through beautiful neighborhoods filled with magnificent homes and expensive cars. Soon, they arrived at a breathtaking luxury mansion unlike anything Kioma had ever seen. Towering gates slowly opened, revealing sparkling fountains, beautifully landscaped gardens, marble walkways, and expensive vehicles parked outside. Everything looked perfect. Guests dressed elegantly walked inside, while soft music played in the background. The atmosphere felt sophisticated, yet something about the place made Kioma feel slightly uncomfortable. She ignored the feeling, convincing herself that she was simply nervous. As the evening continued, Kioma began noticing unusual things around the mansion. Some guests whispered secretly in quiet corners. Others disappeared behind large golden doors and returned with strange expressions on their faces. The cheerful atmosphere slowly became tense, and the smiles around her no longer felt genuine. Kioma quietly asked Vanessa what was happening. Vanessa simply smiled and told her not to worry, because everything would soon make sense. Instead of feeling reassured, Kioma became even more uneasy. Deep inside, she realized she had stepped into a world she did not understand. Curiosity slowly overcame fear. While Vanessa and Belinda became distracted talking with other guests, Kioma quietly walked through one of the mansion's long hallways. At the end of the corridor stood a large wooden door that had been left slightly open. As she looked inside, her heart nearly stopped. Several people dressed in expensive clothing stood inside the dimly lit room, speaking in hushed voices around a large table covered with mysterious objects. The atmosphere was cold, silent, and unsettling. Kioma immediately realized this was no ordinary gathering. Fear gripped her heart as she slowly stepped backward, praying no one had noticed her. At that same moment, miles away, Mrs. Grace suddenly woke from a brief sleep on the living room couch. An overwhelming burden filled her heart. Without hesitation, she fell to her knees and began praying earnestly for Kioma's safety. She asked God to expose every hidden danger, break every evil plan, and surround her daughter with divine protection. As she prayed with tears in her eyes, peace gradually filled her heart, though she still did not know what her daughter was facing. Far away inside the mansion, unseen forces were already beginning to shift. As Kioma hurried back toward the main hall, Vanessa and Belinda suddenly appeared in front of her. This time, their smiles were gone. Their faces looked cold and serious. Vanessa quietly asked why Kioma had wandered away without permission. Belinda slowly closed the hallway door behind them. For the first time since meeting them, Kioma realized the friendship she had trusted had never been real. Her heart pounded with fear as she understood one terrifying truth. She was no longer a guest. She was trapped. The luxurious mansion that had once looked beautiful now felt like a prison, 15-year-old Kioma stood frozen in fear as Vanessa and Belinda blocked her paths. The warm smiles that had welcomed her days earlier had completely disappeared, replaced by cold, emotionless faces. Kioma's heart raced as she realized she had been deceived from the very beginning. Every warning her mother had given her echoed in her mind. She wished she had listened, but now it seemed too late. For the first time in her life, Kioma understood that appearances could be dangerously misleading. Vanessa and Belinda slowly led Kioma into a large private room inside the mansion. The luxurious decor could not hide the heavy atmosphere that filled the space. Several elegantly dressed men and women stood quietly, watching her with unsettling expressions. One of the older guests stepped forward and welcomed Kioma, claiming she had been specially chosen to become part of an exclusive circle of powerful and wealthy people. They promised success, influence, luxury, and unlimited opportunities if she agreed to remain loyal to them. As they spoke, Kioma realized that everything they offered came with a terrible price. She knew in her heart that she could never accept what they were asking of her. Gathering every ounce of courage she had, Kioma shook her head and firmly refused their offer. The room fell silent. The friendly atmosphere instantly disappeared. Faces that had seemed welcoming became filled with anger and disappointment. Vanessa and Belinda stared at Kioma with cold eyes, unable to believe she had rejected them. Although fear overwhelmed her, Kioma chose to stand by the values her mother had taught her. She knew that no amount of wealth or popularity was worth sacrificing her conscience. Seeing an opportunity while everyone argued among themselves, Kioma suddenly turned and ran. She raced through the mansion's long marble hallways, desperately searching for an exit. Behind her, hurried footsteps echoed as several people chased after her. Her breathing became heavier with every step, but she refused to stop. Every door she tried seemed locked, and every hallway looked unfamiliar. Just when hope began to fade, she spotted a side entrance leading toward the mansion's beautiful garden. Without looking back, she sprinted into the darkness. Back at the Okafor mansion, Mrs. Grace could not shake the burden she felt in her spirit. She remained on her knees, praying earnestly for her daughter throughout the night. With every prayer, she asked God to protect Kioma, give her wisdom, and make a way where there seemed to be no way. Though she had no idea what was happening, a mother's love refused to give up. Her faith remained stronger than her fear. Far away, Kioma unknowingly found strength in those heartfelt prayers. Kioma finally escaped through the mansion's side gate and ran into the quiet streets under the cover of night. Tears filled her eyes as she struggled to catch her breath. She was exhausted, frightened, and completely alone. Behind her, the mansion stood silently beneath the moonlight, hiding its dangerous secrets behind walls of beauty and luxury. Although Kioma had escaped the building, she knew her nightmare was far from over. She had seen things she could never forget, and she feared those who had trapped her would not stop searching for her. But deep inside, a small spark of hope remained alive. The night was cold and silent as 15-year-old Kioma ran through unfamiliar streets, her heart pounding with fear. Every shadow made her nervous, and every distant sound caused her to look over her shoulder. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she whispered desperate prayers, asking God to protect her. Although she was exhausted, Kioma refused to stop. She knew that returning to the mansion was not an option. The only thing keeping her moving was the hope that she would somehow find a safe way home. Back at the luxurious Okafor mansion, Mrs. Grace remained on her knees in deep prayer. Hours had passed, yet she refused to give in to fear. She believed that even when she could not see her daughter, God could. With tears streaming down her face, she prayed for divine protection, wisdom, and deliverance. She asked God to expose every hidden danger surrounding Kioma and to guide her safely back home. As dawn drew nearer, an unusual peace settled in her heart. She believed that her prayers were not falling on deaf ears. Meanwhile, inside the luxury mansion, panic spread among those who had tried to trap Kioma. Vanessa and Belinda searched frantically, afraid that their carefully hidden secrets might be exposed. Luxury vehicles sped through quiet streets as they looked for any sign of Kioma. They searched every place they thought she might have gone, determined to bring her back before sunrise. But no matter how hard they searched, Kioma remained beyond their reach. Sometimes, the greatest protection cannot be seen with human eyes. Cold, tired, and frightened, Kioma finally reached the entrance of a brightly lit neighborhood. A kind elderly security officer noticed her trembling by the roadside and immediately realized that something was wrong. With a calm voice, he offered her water and a safe place to rest while contacting the authorities and helping her reach her family. For the first time since leaving the mansion, Kioma felt a sense of safety returning. She realized that even in her darkest moments, God had placed the right people along her path. As the first rays of morning sunlight filled the sky, Kioma finally arrived home. The moment Mrs. Grace saw her daughter, she ran toward her with tears of relief. Mother and daughter embraced tightly, holding each other as though they never wanted to let go again. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Their tears said everything words could never express. Kioma finally understood that her mother's warnings had never been meant to control her. They had always been acts of love and protection. Later that morning, Kioma courageously shared everything that had happened. She confessed how she had ignored her mother's advice because she longed to fit in with people who appeared successful and glamorous. Mrs. Grace listened without anger or condemnation. Instead, she gently reminded Kioma that every mistake becomes a lesson when a person chooses to learn from it. From that day forward, Kioma made a promise to herself. She would never again allow appearances, popularity, or the desire to belong to lead her away from wisdom, truth, and the values she had been taught. She had escaped the trap, but more importantly, she had found something far greater. The understanding that true riches are found not in luxury, but in character, faith, and the people who genuinely love you. The morning sun rose over the luxurious Okafor family mansion, bringing with it a new beginning. 15-year-old Chioma stood quietly by her bedroom window, watching the golden light spread across the gardens. The fear that had once filled her heart had been replaced by gratitude. The painful experience had changed her forever. She no longer admired the glamorous lifestyle that had once tempted her. Instead, she appreciated the peace, love, and safety she had always enjoyed at home. As she looked toward her mother, Kioma smiled, knowing she had been given a second chance to make wiser choices. A few days later, the truth about the secret group began to spread. Authorities launched an investigation after receiving important information, and the luxurious mansion that had hidden so many secrets became the center of attention. Vanessa and Belinda could no longer hide behind expensive clothes, flashy lifestyles, or false friendships. The deception was exposed, and they were forced to face the consequences of the choices they had made. Kioma realized that no lie remains hidden forever. Sooner or later, the truth always finds its way into the light. When Kioma returned to school, many students welcomed her warmly. They had heard pieces of the story, but only Kioma truly understood how close she had come to losing everything. This time, she walked through the school with quiet confidence. She was no longer searching for approval or trying to fit in with the most popular students. Instead, she chose friends who valued honesty, kindness, and respect. She had learned that true friendship is built on trust, not appearance. One afternoon, Kioma stood before her classmates and shared her experience. With courage and humility, she spoke about how the desire to belong had nearly led her down a dangerous path. She encouraged every student to think carefully before following people simply because they appeared successful or popular. Her story touched many hearts. Some students quietly reflected on their own choices, while others found the courage to walk away from unhealthy friendships. Without realizing it, Kioma had become an inspiration to those around her. That evening, Mrs. Grace watched her daughter laughing peacefully at home. Her heart overflowed with gratitude as she remembered the terrifying night when she did not know where Kioma was. She thanked God for protecting her daughter and for turning a painful experience into a powerful testimony. As mother and daughter sat together, Mrs. Grace gently reminded Kioma that every trial carries a lesson for those willing to learn. Kioma smiled and held her mother's hand, knowing those words would stay with her forever. As the sun slowly set behind the beautiful mansion, Kioma stood in the peaceful garden, reflecting on everything she had been through. She finally understood what her mother had tried to teach her all along. Luxury can attract the eyes, popularity can impress people, and wealth can create temporary excitement. But none of these can replace wisdom, integrity, genuine love, and faith. The greatest treasure she had been searching for had never been found in expensive lifestyles or glamorous friends. It had always been waiting for her at home, in the love of her mother, the guidance of God, and the strength of good character. And so, Kioma's story became a reminder that not every shining opportunity leads to happiness. Sometimes the brightest traps hide the darkest dangers. But for those who choose wisdom over temptation, truth over deception, and faith over fear, there is always hope for a new beginning. The greatest riches in life are not measured by money, luxury, or popularity. They are measured by the strength of your character, the love of your family, and the courage to do what is right, even when the wrong path seems more attractive.
Thank you so much for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe to African Folktale by Zoya. Turn on the notification so when I post more interesting stories, you will be the first to get them. I really appreciate you. I do not take your support for granted. Bye for now.